In case you people have forgotten, this block operates under the same rules as the rest of the city. Mama is not the law. I am the law. Judgment time.
All right, welcome to today's 3 at 1ish.
Okay, yes.
Today's 3 at 1 is 3 days late and
At night.
and at night. But it's still in the spirit of 3 at 1.
Yes, the other meaning.
Yes, the other meanings. So tonight we've got, who's this here, Hannah?
It's Big Mama.
Big Mama.
I like it when you say that. I think that's cute.
Big Mama, little...
Not you, though. Not cute when you do it.
Like, when Mum does it, she's like so sharp, like, doosh.
It's an order.
And then you get a look as well.
Welcome to my world.
Perfected.
Yes.
It is.
Hallelujah.
It's taken years.
Little Span,
Okay.
Big Mama,
Yeah.
and me. All right.
Super dad.
Super Dad. All right, so let's get into it. Welcome to the audience.
Or the crew.
The crew travelled afar in the cold, and it is cold, isn't it?
Freezing.
Yeah, our car was still frosted up at like 11:30 when we left. It was still frosty on the window
Yeah.
In the morning.
in the morning, 11:30 in the morning.
Parked on the south side of the house.
Yeah,
No sun.
no sun. Turns out that's not happening again.
Yeah.
Smart.
No, I'm going to bring it inside tonight. All right, I've got a couple of things. One thing the Lord whispered to me this morning, which I really liked, I've never shared before. I don't like new stuff. It's cool.
Super cool.
It's not a competition, but I'm winning.
Was I there?
I haven't told you about it either.
Oh,
Ooh, it must be super
Interesting.
special.
Super special. And you're here because you've got something.
yeah, Lord told me stuff the other morning when I woke up.
All right.
I think.
The same time you can get our attention when we first wake
Best
up,
time.
before our brain starts working and gets in the way. So, and Hannah, you've got 3 pictures there and a pen.
That's for writing down notes if things come to me. I'm doing something random today.
It is.
And what's your new favourite word?
Random.
Swiftly.
Swiftly. Very nice word.
Well, it didn't happen one week. I was supposed to say swiftly, couldn't
Yeah.
remember, and I said spiffy, and everybody paused and looked at me. And don't worry, Sam edited it out. But I meant to say swiftly.
So, yeah, insert that back a few weeks ago.
Yes.
The whole
We're
thing
talking
will
about
make...
speed and stuff.
It must have been.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. So, yeah. All right. So last week we did John the Baptist syndrome, which was the perception thing where things don't often go the way people think. Never, hardly ever. And a lot of people get thrown out by it and then,
Yes.
then go into self-harm, get your nose out of joint, get grumpy with God, but they would never tell you that.
Never.
Never tell you that. Blame everybody else. And then it turns out it's a massive issue. And then we talked about, just get over it. It's just going to not be the way you think. It's
Doesn't
going to be
look like
going to be the way he thinks. So it's a massive area of self-harm. And we drew up a list of the 600 people we know, how many people had been thrown out by it, and it was about 595 or 96. So it's not everybody.
No.
It's just nearly everybody.
The odds are not in our favour in that
No.
one, but
So that was good. So that's a
we
good
press
one.
on.
So I like that because I like things where you can highlight something and then do something about it. Just embrace it.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, so that leads into you. You've got another area of self-harm,
Yeah.
which will jump on the back of that, which is practical and simple.
And it's similar too because it's not what they thought it would be like. When all those amazing... The Lord woke me up the other morning and I wrote it all in here so it's clearer, but he was talking about when the spies went into the land. So they'd come out of Egypt, all miraculous, sea pulled back, they walked through dry land. It was all amazing.
Whoopee-doo.
Lots of things actually happened before the spies went in because I'm looking for it in Exodus and it's in Numbers.
Yeah.
So a lot happened before they got to the spies going in the land.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's Numbers 13. And the first thing is the Lord sent them in. told Moses, send them into the land.
Send them in.
So they're sent ones.
Yeah.
And to me, the land is the promised land, which is also the third day.
So they're an apostolic company being sent in. All right.
They were leaders.
They were.
They took people with them, but they were the leaders of their groups.
Yeah.
And it was all said in 13 about that, which was really interesting brushing up on the story, because some of the stuff you don't remember, and there's a lot of detail there.
Always.
Exactly what they said. And it was all about the bad report and the good report. And the Lord sent them in Numbers 13:1. By Numbers 13, verse 27, they brought back evidence of the land. So they're carrying evidence. And 2 of the leaders, which we all know their names, I can't even remember the names of the ones that were negative.
The ones that didn't have a good report, no one knows who they were.
Nobody remembers their names.
No one remembers them.
But they were leaders of their groups.
Yeah.
But it's not just them that spoke against it. It was the ones they took with it. And it was not just Caleb and Joshua spoke for, but their people didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't back them up. And instead they gave bad reports.
Yeah.
And, Caleb said, let us go up. That was his response.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. They're all carrying evidence.
Yeah.
The whole time they're carrying evidence of the land.
They said it was everything God said and more. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And by Numbers 14, even before that, right at the end of chapter 13 and beginning of 14 in Numbers, they wanted to stone them. That spoke for going up. And they wanted to elect a new leader and get rid of Moses. And all new priests. I thought, talk about overkill. And Moses, what did he do? He fell on his face.
Yeah.
But who speaks up? Joshua. So Caleb had spoken.
Yeah.
In verse 14, Joshua speaks up.
Yeah.
And they still dissented, and they were still carrying evidence. They had the fruit with them, and there's a negative report goes up. And the ones that spoke against it said the things like there's the sons of Anak in the land, there's giants. Now, we've heard all about the giants. There's giants in the land.
Yeah,
Big boogeymen.
They're big.
There's also fruit in the land, and you're carrying it. But that's ignored.
Yeah.
And then they talked about who was settled there, and they had fortified placements.
They were the business.
And when they all know that fortified means you can't get past that. Well, there's wars for generations that says you can, and it's just finding the right way. But no.
Too hard.
So these are leaders that spoke against 2 main leaders' reports.
Yeah.
And what did it wipe out? A whole generation.
Yeah.
Just about every one of them didn't walk into the promise, never crossed over because of them choosing a bad report. And not just choosing it, but want to kill those that speak a good report of the land. It works, like Hannah's thing. It works. Look at me, I'm evidence. They want to kill off the leader, the very few that had the voice to say.
Dodge the stones.
And what struck me is we are all responsible for our report. Daily, not just once, but daily on the day about this day. And it's God's day, it's not ours. It's Him that's made it. It's Him that's laid the table. It's Him that's sent out to say come. And it's us that's responsible daily to put out a good report of the day. So I wrote this down because it just flowed out when it just started burning in me, that whole good report thing.
Powerful.
I woke up this morning and the Lord was running through my mind about the spies, good and bad, reporting of the land, the promised land. We have a choice every day to give a good or bad report of the land, the Lord and His day. In our daily lives, which He has graced us with. We're breathing His air. That's my favourite thing.
Yep.
what's our report going to be? Are we moaning, digging into our fortified positions, wanting to go back to the past? Like they wanted to go back to Egypt. We'll get new leaders, get new priests, and they'll take us back to Egypt. That's what they said. Just not happy, positive, or expectant. They weren't expectant of anything good in the land, even though some of them were carrying fruit. The evidence was before all of them. And it was all of his day, his land, his promise. Worse still, and the very worst, is what I have come across in this day, is people speak actively against the day and put off. And it's not just hurting them, the closest to them, it's hurting everybody within vicinity that chooses to believe it. And that's just horrific. And I think there might be a special place for that, because that's actually knowing and speaking against his promise. So that was what he was talking to me about. I didn't really want to do the negative thing, because Joshua and Caleb did go into the land and they took the next generation. And to me, that was so cool that they saved it. They'd seen it, but they'd seen it in a different light, and they'd seen it in a different way. And they'd seen the enemies just like everybody else. But like Caleb said, we can take them.
He said it'd be easy.
He said, if the Lord delights in us, then he'll do it. Yeah. So he relied on the Lord to do it. And that's the land. That's the third day. It takes God to do this. Yeah. So it was amazing.
So what's like John the Baptist syndrome? John the Baptist syndrome is get your nose out of joint by your circumstances, or by the way, get offended, get taken out.
Doesn't look the way you thought.
So that'll disinherit you.
Yeah.
And this one is massive, because this just won't disinherit you. This will disinherit the people around you. It
took out most of them. That's what struck me. Took out a whole generation, took out most of the people.
So
very few walked in from that generation.
A bad report caused you to not inherit.
Yeah, if you don't even stop and think of it, it's reflecting around everybody around you.
Yeah.
Everybody hears this. And sure, they can pick themselves up. They can choose not to hear it that way. They can choose to see it something different. But it is going to have an effect. It will have to be fought.
See, I like it because, like, it works on every level.
Yeah.
Now, I know people who will give a bad report about a town, even though they've never lived there.
Yeah, yeah.
I've heard people say negative things about different places. And then those same people, so they had a bad report about a town, those same people move to that town and get a good report about it. So good report, bad report, it's a bit like the John the Baptist syndrome. It's a huge syndrome. Giving things a bad report. I gave this country...
You gave it a bad
report for a while, until the Lord said...
quite a few years.
It was a momentary glitch in the matrix of my awesomeness. And then the Lord said, I actually really loved this country, and explained to me what he thought about it. And I thought, I have to change my report. And I have, and it's changed me. So, like, whether it's the land and the third day, whatever, it can be about your day, it can be about your week, it can be about the people in your house, it can be about your spouse, your children, your circumstances, your fight. It works on every level about everything. A good report will bring about change and breakthrough.
It gives the chance for inheritance. It's like a bad report. Do you not want the country to inherit God's promises?
No.
What struck me is they knew it was the promised land. They knew that's where they were supposed to be going. He told them to look at the cities, the fortifications, all the people there. He told them to look at all those specific things. He didn't expect them to come back with an opinion. That wasn't supposed to be part of it. That's the land. That's what I'm giving you.
But that's the enemy's tactic. He's always going to, like, for all of us individually, there'll be something that we have to beat. A fortified city, something in our head, in our life, in our situation. And the enemy goes, that's just too hard. Don't even bother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't even bother trying to beat
Oh,
it.
there's giants there.
Because it's going to be too difficult, so you won't be able to succeed. So we don't even engage.
You don't even start to
No.
to work on the tactics.
No.
You don't go, okay, this is what's there. This
No.
is what we'll need to do. This is what we need to fight. This is
Yeah.
what we need to work on.
No, we don't even.
What's the tactics?
We don't even engage.
Step by step, what do we do? It
Yeah.
said no.
I just love Caleb's spirit, bulldog spirit, you
Yeah.
know. They're food for us,
Yeah.
the giants. They're food for us.
Yeah.
And the Lord's with us. If he delights in us, of course it's ours.
They had a grasshopper mentality. They thought they were
Yeah.
little. But it's like we did a whole series on the giants. We were sitting at a cafe today going, Hannah goes, okay, we did like Petra had me do 6 or 7 different giants. We've added Yum Yum to the list. And
That could be 7.
Hannah could remember 3 and she did the teachings. So if you're out there and you haven't remembered everything we've said, you're in good company.
It's like me going back to what
But-
I won't hassle.
But the Lord said, engage them. And he said to me, don't fight them, kill them and cut their heads off, cut off their influence, cut off their voice. And it's like,
Like the winning mentality.
yeah.
Yeah.
So God says simple things like attack religion.
Yeah.
And we're going,
Oh, it's pretty big. Oh, we're pretty excited about it.
it's huge.
Big, massive.
You know, and all the giants, you know, and like last 2 weeks ago, we tackled Yum Yum, the love of food.
Yeah.
You know, that's massive.
Yeah.
So that's like,
And that's an everyday thing.
so, you know, Hannah's been on at me for, I don't know, 10 years to fix my eating habit. And I've tried different
Yes.
things. And normally the response with my efforts is a disapproving frown. That's your way of
'cause it's
encouraging
like-
me.
You want to, but you don't want to. So you sort of fight, but you sort of don't fight. And
Yes.
I couldn't figure out
You couldn't
why.
figure it out. You got confused.
Why wouldn't you want health?
Exactly. And then, because you were terrible at explaining everything,
Yes.
the Lord said to me, it's not about this diet or that diet or don't do this or don't do that. He said, you have a love affair with food. Break it. And if you break the love affair, then the other things you need to do, the disciplines. So I've been breaking my love affair. I don't eat on Mondays. No,
It's more
you're
like
not eating Monday.
it's more like when, yeah, but like it's more like when Yum Yum is like, "Hey, Mikey."
Yeah.
No,
No.
no.
So I've been actively engaged because like it's like it's a good one because it's one of those giants that like, oh, that's going to be so hard to beat, but don't even try.
But like, you get past a certain point, and it isn't hard anymore.
Start winning.
Yeah, you do start winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got to
you
get
get
up on
stronger.
the front foot, don't you?
Yeah.
You've got to have an
You got to see that it's possible.
But the
aggressive thing.
the real enduring strength comes from like you have to want to fight it too, not
Yeah.
just because like it's something you're being made to do.
Yeah, and see that's why this thing with the spies and the good report. The good report is we can beat all the obstacles, all the personal
Yeah,
ones.
they were keen too.
And we're keen, and we want to engage. Otherwise, it's like, okay, well, let's just bide our time, get to heaven. That's not powerful. And so, like, the key for me was with the food was the Lord said, you have a love affair with it. So I knew what to break. Because you can only have one lover. You can't have you can enjoy food, you can appreciate food, you can, use it as fuel or whatever, you can even use it to enjoy, but it can't be elevated to where you get your joy from, where you
Yeah,
can't be a
where you-
lover. You
feel good.
Can't dominate.
You comfort, you feel good, you pat on the back.
Yeah, can't dominate. So, food's not the boss of me.
So he's giving us tactics for all those giants in the land and
It's
all
good.
those fortified places. And that's brilliant.
Yeah, and so they all need to be defeated. They went into the land. I think from memory, 36 kings they defeated in like 3 months. I mean, when they went to war, they had victory after victory after victory after victory. Once they got the hang of it, and then had to get fresh tactics each time.
Yeah.
But in the wilderness, they defeated 2 kings. In the first 6 months in the land, they defeated like 30 something. Can't remember.
My favourite thing is when they crossed over the Jordan, the first encounter is with the angel of the Lord. And who are you for, us or them? And he said, neither. I'm for myself. This is my land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Line up.
Do as you're told.
So we were talking today, the enemy has been fighting harder than we have most of the time.
Yes, it's always on.
He's always on.
It's always-
They're aware of that.
Yeah, and what he doesn't want is people to walk into maturity, to sonship, start getting
Yes.
victories in any area or level. Now,
And to become, overcomer is a massive, really important word
Yes.
that Christians seem to forget. And you're not supposed to quit. You're actually supposed to keep fighting.
I like
Be an overcomer. Like, once you start to overcome things, it's really cool. And it doesn't matter how hard. Like, it's awesome to overcome stuff.
Yeah, get a taste
Should
for
be
it.
Yeah, you get a taste for it. I
exciting.
should
Yeah.
want it.
I like what Clarice Fluitt used to say. We fight till I win.
She probably still says it.
But what a great mentality.
Incredible.
She refused to be defeated.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Because it's not like there's no enemies. There's heaps out there. A raid.
Yeah.
A raid.
All right.
So, had enough of that? You want to say something else about that?
No, read the story though in Numbers 13 and 14 because their conversation's very interesting.
I love stuff that's practical, like the John the Baptist syndrome. You can go home and think about that and apply it. This one, you go home and think about it. All right.
The very things they say are those little things that you need to flick
Yeah.
off your
Yeah.
shoulders that talk in your ear.
What report am I giving about this year, about my day, about this week?
And
about
then
my
you take
family?
responsibility because it's affecting others.
Yeah, and then you've got to change your report and ultimately change your report to what he's saying.
Yeah.
So like we've done all that stuff lately about image, and he has a report about us. We have a report about us. He's going, well, whose report are you going to believe, mine or yours? We've been believing ours. We're supposed to be believing his. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's on. Now,
Yes.
so you've had enough of that?
Yeah,
I love
you
it.
carry on.
It's
I
practical.
love
It
that
can be
when he
applied
set
to
up.
everything all the time. And I've been super guilty of having bad reports about places. Everywhere we've lived, pretty much, before we got there, I had a negative report about it. I never want to live there, like Auckland. As a southerner, get there, man, this is awesome. It's pretty awesome. Beautiful beaches, great shopping. Everyone's got a view. Even the state houses have a view. I mean, like it's
The best
pretty
views.
awesome. And then we go back down here, and then Picton, a place I didn't like.
You didn't want to move there,
No.
so God gave you a warning it was coming.
And I don't want to go to Picton. It's a terrible place. And we moved there and going, it's pretty cool.
Oh, it was one of the most awesome places.
And it's like, I've had so many negative reports about places, and then I always leave with a good one. Now, obviously, I wouldn't have made it.
One would hope.
If I'd have got there, I would have changed my mind.
Maybe if you had seen it and been inspired, but if you were in the group and you just believed the bad report, perhaps.
Thank you.
But the thing is,
Thank you.
what
Thank you for that vote of confidence.
struck
We
me,
all could have done that.
what strikes me is we're in that story now. When the Lord was talking about it, that's our story
What I
now.
meant was, you're a leader though, Dad, so you probably wouldn't have, eh? You would have seen it and been like, oi!
But like,
I can see you as a Caleb.
the story now is, this is our moment. So what's our report? You know, and like,
This
about
doesn't work, that doesn't work, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, me, me, me.
that's why it bounces off John. That's why it bounces off John the Baptist. Because has it worked out the way we thought? No. What's your report? It's awesome.
It's amazing. It's better than I thought.
We were praying this morning, and then we prayed for a while, and usual sort of stuff, but different stuff. And when we finished praying, this beautiful presence of the Lord, and I started singing "Sweep Over My Soul." My rest is complete as I sit at your feet, sweet Spirit. And we decided, my God, we can't even plan a day. We don't know how to do a day. All we can do is rest in the Lord and trust Him, because as much all the things that you work out, the future's got more unknowns than knowns. We know which direction, but how or the detail? I don't even bother planning a day anymore. It's impossible.
Yeah. Because of the fight, the internal fight, people kind of get a bit disheartened, but you should be excited because the Christ is growing in you.
Yeah.
Every
It's a
time the
muscle.
Christ grows and the old nature is poofing away and the new nature is getting dominated. Pretty good times.
So I love it, Deb. I love that when you heard. I thought we had to get that out on the video. That'll save someone's life, probably save mine. Good report. It's quite like it's obvious. It's not like tricky.
It's just a choice.
It's a good report or a bad report. There's no in betweens, is there?
Get really good at writing good reports.
Yeah. So anyway,
Really good.
yeah. just fill your life with good reports. There's plenty of good stuff happening in the Lord. So that's cool. Now, I had a couple of things. I haven't developed all of them. And I have... Don't freak out about the notes. We won't do all these. Most of these are just scriptures. But I had a thought I was developing about the gates of hell, which we won't do.
The gates of hell.
Gates of hell, which is kind of cool.
Sounds good.
And then I had some other thoughts. And then, does this segue off what you're saying? I was thinking before we started it didn't. It did. And now that we're here,
You don't think so?
I don't know if it does.
Oh.
But that was good.
Okay.
So I want to talk, see, who's the gardener in our family?
Me?
You are. No.
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 You do the lawn, so.
I mow the
Oh,
lawns.
does that count?
Yeah.
It
I
does.
actually,
She
Mum,
loves his lawns.
when we first got married, Mum planted a garden in the backyard. You know,
Roses, and he mowed them.
in Auckland, and there's no dirt.
Who does that?
What they do is they shave your section of all the topsoil, and it's just clay with a
Right.
little thin layer, and then they go, hey,
Hey.
you want to buy some topsoil? That's the dirt from my section. I go, no, I don't want to buy any topsoil.
Yeah.
And so we plant gardens in the clay,
Which roses are okay?
and then I bought a whole lot of little bags and built this little mound up, and I said to Deb, I'm not going to weed it. It's going to be yours. So after a while, she's pregnant with one of the children or three of the children, and I'm working and that, and it just gets weedy.
We already had
So
two
one
by the
day,
time we
I
got there.
kicked the wooden sides off it and just mowed it. Dick goes, what have you done? I've been doing the gardening. Marriage survived.
Did still here?
So
40 odd years later.
that's about my gardening expertise. So I'm doing, because you're here, I thought I'd do a gardening word.
Okay.
I'm going to do a word about pits
Ooh.
in the garden and trees.
Pits
Okay.
and trees.
Pits and trees. You ready?
Yeah.
So this is Matthew, chapter 19. Now behold, this is verse 16. Now behold, one came and said to him, Good teacher, what good thing? And you notice I'm saying good with emphasis. You know, pick that up. You're smart. Now behold, one came to him and said, Good teacher, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? And so he said to him, this is Jesus, Why do you call me good? No one is good but one, that is God. But if you want to enter into life, keep the commandments. And he said to him, Which ones? And Jesus lists all the commandments, you know, all the 10 commandments. And then this guy says to him, then the young man said to him, All these I have kept from my youth. Now that's incredible. And then, comma, what do I still lack? So here's a good young man. He's kept all the good rules from his youth, and he's arrived at a point where he knows he's not inheriting life, and all he feels is a lack. He's something missing.
Yeah.
And so he's in a pit. And, you know, like we talk about the giants, we talk about the pit of religion. And the pit of religion has told people, if you do good, you'll do well. You'll get out of the pit. You'll get eternal life. And so we do good things, good acts, good things with good motives and all these good. And all we end up with is lack. Because good doesn't get it done, because it's the knowledge of good and evil. So it's the wrong tree. And so we're doing all this stuff, and the Lord said to me, you'll never climb out of the pit of religion with good works. Now, because, you know, we did the giant. No matter how many good works you do, it's always not enough.
Oh, no.
The giant says, that's not enough. And this young man done them all. He's done better than any of us. And he knew it wasn't enough.
He's like, why isn't it completing it? Like, why isn't it finished? Why don't I feel whole?
Why don't I feel whole? So that was his report. And then Jesus goes in another place and he goes to the leaders, you're blind leaders of the blind. And if if the blind are leading, you're going to fall into, in some versions say ditch, but when you look up the Greek word, it's pit. You just fall into a pit. And so huge sections of Christianity, if there's not a clear understanding of new creation man, it's like Adam trying to do good. obey the 10 Commandments, all these things. So what we've done is we get the Old Testament. Jesus goes, I've come to do away with that. There's a whole new way of doing things now. It's nothing to do with Adam. It's to do with a new creature, new creation. It's to do with the Christ nature. It's to do with a whole new nature. All the rules have changed. And so we go, awesome. And then 2,000 years after Jesus has been resurrected, we got the New Testament, and we've put it back in the Old Testament box.
Yes.
We've got hierarchy, leadership, who love the high places. We've got rules and regulations. We've got church protocols that might as well be law, and they teach all the things of grace and truth as laws. You better give, you better come on Sunday, you better do this, you better do that, and all these sorts of things. And so what we've done is we've got the grace and truth of the New Testament, and we put it in a pit.
Yes.
And so now huge sections of the church are in a pit. People are frustrated. We were trying to climb out by doing everything right, going to the church, being a good member, giving your money, doing all the activities, and you arrive in a place called lack, and you're in a pit and you can't get out. And so we all know that. So I was reading that this week. This is interesting. The root of blind is to inflate with self-conceit. Isn't that interesting? So we get arrogant and proudful. Look what I've done. Look at my good works. Look what I have done. And the thing is, we do nothing to inherit the kingdom. It's a gift. And there's another. I'm going to go fast. So you're not bored yet? I'm going to tell you something that you haven't heard before in a minute. Ooh, everybody likes something fresh, something new. Why have I got so many pages that don't all link up in some sort of systematic fashion?
Don't know.
Galatians chapter 3, verse 10. For as many as are of the works of the law are under a curse. So when we get New Testament grace and truth
Yes.
and make it a law,
Make it a law.
get church protocols, make them a law,
Money stuff, tithes and all that. It's a law.
anything.
Taxes. That's what it
Taxes.
is.
Once again, you've put people under a curse.
Yes.
Because it says here, cursed is everyone who does not continue in all the things that are written in the book of the law to do them. Then it says that Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, having become a curse for us. Cursed is everyone who hangs on a tree. Now, the trouble with the law is you got to keep all of it or none of it. Yep. It's a harsh taskmaster. So we go, oh, that's the law. I've been in church situations, you got to obey all the protocols. And if you don't obey all of them, you're in trouble. And then in your own life, when you're dealing with yourself, you do good between 9 and 3, and then between 3 and 4, you blow it, and you're undone. Yeah. You're toast because you're trying to be good, and between 3 and 4, you were bad. And so all your good is undone because the law demands perfection. You've got to get it all right. And Jesus said, you got to do, so that good man, you got to do all of them, all the time, consistently,
And no rest.
And no rest. And so the law is a harsh taskmaster. Another scripture said the law was able to bring nothing to completion. So it's like a stupid thing to be doing anyway. And so huge sections of the church still stuck on that. Now, we all know about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, okay? And God said you can have everything, but don't eat that tree. And as soon as you eat of that tree, the knowledge of good and evil, you're going to know right and wrong and all these things, and you're going to lose your innocence, and you're going to fall from grace, and you're going to know right from wrong and all these sorts of things. And now, in the world, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, right from wrong, justice, injustice. They treated me good, they treated me bad. In the church, rights and injustices and rights and wrongs and good member, good person, bad person, judging everything by those sorts of standards and levels. And then we're ourselves, we apply that level to ourselves. I was good today, therefore God loves me. I'm bad today, therefore God doesn't love me. And we live in this realm, and God says, I never wanted you to eat from that tree. That's the tree that Adam ate from. So the whole Adamic race, right up till now, is still eating off that tree. The government, the politics, the wars, the religious wars, and then the individual people. And it's infiltrated the church because the church hasn't been able to differentiate between Adam and Christ.
Yeah.
We're still trying to do what I call good Adam. And, you know, the classic is the good man is going to... God said, if you eat of this tree, the knowledge of good and evil, it'll kill you. That was his encouragement. So they go, yeah, we'll have a go. So the evil obviously kills you, and the good kills you. They both kill you. They're both dangerous. Law and license. Everybody knows all that stuff. So we're in a pit. Most people I know have been in the pit. A lot of the churches in the pit. I still get in the pit every now and then, and you got to talk to yourself.
Float back up.
And you got to get yourself out. You got to remind yourself. And so then I read another story. Oh, and actually, I didn't read it. I woke up this morning, and the Lord said to me, "What about this guy?" And I go, "What about him?" And it's a simple little story in the Gospels. It's always sort of caught my attention. It's the story of Zacchaeus. Okay, we know the story. Little short guy,
Tree.
tax collector.
Yes.
He hears the Lord's passing by, so he races ahead and climbs a tree to get a view of the Lord. Now, he's a bad man. He's a rich man. He's a bad man. And the Lord says to him, and the Lord spoke to me this morning, and I thought, there's always prophetic pictures with everything. And the Lord said to him, Zacchaeus, come down out of that tree, for I must dwell in your I need to be in your house, or come to your house. And so Zacchaeus comes down, and the Lord said to me, the tree's the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And Zacchaeus is a picture of humanity, or the church, climbing that tree. And God said the way up out of the pit is to climb down out of the tree. And do you know what his name means? Pure or innocent. It's a restoration of innocence, of purity. Now, you know, you take your own temperature. For most folk, a sense of innocence and purity, of not being stained by sin, because all the Lord does is bring consciousness of sin. And Jesus, he came to clean our conscience, that we're not conscious of sin, we're God conscious. We're conscious of grace and truth and the blood and what he's done, that we're new creatures.
Yeah. A new nature. Just let it grow, and it's got to grow in grace and truth.
So what we've done with the church, we've picked up the New Testament church and we've thrown it in the same pit that the Pharisees and Sadducees and the Israelites were in. And the Lord said, the way up out of the pit is to climb down out of the tree. Right and wrong, my rights, my opinions, my views. Look what they've done to me. Look what they've said. Look how I've behaved. I've been bad. That tree's full of all that fruit. And all that fruit does is disqualify you. And God goes,
very upset.
climb down out of that tree. I want to come to your house.
Yeah, that's the part that got me. I want to come to your house.
I want to come to your house. And so the Lord says to me, I've been trying, I guess for the last 20 plus years, I've been climbing down out of that tree, rejecting concepts and ideas and thoughts, because the Lord wants to come to my house.
Yeah.
And he wants to live with me. He doesn't want to live with a sin-conscious person. He doesn't want to live with a beat-up person. He wants to live with someone who knows that they're free.
Yeah.
He wants to live in that kind of house.
That's what Jesus did. That's what he brought us. He
Yeah.
brought us God within instead. He's not external anymore.
No. And so,
He's not a religion in a box,
no.
in a temple.
So we've made Christianity a religion, like all the other religions, with rules and protocols.
It's the opposite.
Yeah. And so it's not what God ever intended. And so the picture for the church is his body with the enemy under our feet. Now, the reality is the church is normally under the feet of the enemy. It's upside down. It's topsy-turvy. And all the enemy says is you're sinners. That's the biggest lie on the planet, bar none. The devil's convinced the church that all they are is sinners. And most God-fearing church-going people every Sunday will tell you they're a sinner. And you'll go, no, you're not. You're a new creature in Christ. And that which is born of God cannot sin. They go, but you didn't see me yesterday. I said, I don't care.
You're in the wrong mind.
You're in the
Battle zone, man.
If any man
Wakey.
And so the devil wins if the church is in the pit. The church doesn't even know what a bad state it's in. You said today it's a lot worse than people think. the Pharisees and Sadducees, they go to John the Baptist, we're Abraham's seed, you know. He's going, you wish.
Pretty confident.
Yeah. And he goes, you're a brood of vipers. And Jesus comes along later and goes, you're a brood of vipers. You know, you're dead men walking, you're sepulchres filled with dead men's bones. And they think they're the business because they don't realise how far down the pit they are. And like when we did all the church stuff, and not so much just the church stuff per se, but when we tried to do Christianity through being good Adam, we're in a pit. And no matter how good we did, it never got out of the pit.
It turns into a hell
It does.
of torture.
I wanted to do a message on the gate. The Lord said to me, the gates of hell will not prevail. I said, what are you talking about? He said, it's the third day since Jesus was here, 3 days in the belly of the earth. This is the day he's coming up, the resurrection. And he said, the gates of hell will not prevail. Now, they have been prevailing because what they've done is they've locked his church in Adam. And he's coming up out of Adam, up out of humanity, up out of Adam. You know, and he's bringing the revelation of a new creation man, something beautiful, something wonderful, something glorious, a kingdom within. And he said, the word says, the enemy says, the gates of hell will prevail. You'll never win. Your best hope is escape. And the Lord goes, they won't prevail. If you engage in this fight, they'll smash. You can break open. And this is the day he's going to come up and out.
Because, like, you try to think about it's always been happening because the battles was on. But as soon as they, like the early church, as soon as they came across, obviously, like some tricky times or some tricky battles with the two different natures, and like they've just gone back to what worked. They've gone back to what worked in the past, and they've just used the old covenant style and the old tree to try to fight it. Like the old nature, they've actually just gone back to what they did know.
Yeah.
So they've mixed the two covenants, and so then you hear lots of lines like, "Yes, we have Judeo-Christian principles."
Yeah.
Where you've mixed the two covenants there, and people say that line proudly.
Yeah.
And we're a big old mess.
So a hierarchy, leadership that like to sit in the leadership positions. Are people that are subjected, that don't know any better, that just subject to their leaders.
Customs and traditions.
Customs and traditions, rules and regulations that you must keep. We've run into that a few times. With people.
Two different spirits there.
Two different spirits. And so, if I was there, well,
like sometimes when you come across that, right, the further you go down this, like your separation, and what is he doing? He's growing Christ in you, becoming a Christ being.
It's going to be a resurrection.
Going from an Adam being to a Christ being.
Yeah.
And then there's this big middle gap of people at different levels and stages and growth of the being. Yeah. And when you come across the religious stuff, and then they're of your like family. But when you're talking to them, and all you get is the religious external practices and the Adamic thinking, I'm like, it's like almost horrific because they're like part of your family, but you feel like you're two different species, and it's super devastating and awkward because somehow, once again with the enemy's tactics, the religion is parading itself as God, and so. Well-meaning Christians are like holding it up as God, and they're fighting for it. Yeah, and it's bewitched. It's like they've been tricked.
There's been wars for years over religious practices, and this is what God wants. This is how God likes it. I mean,
and Jesus freed man from it.
Yeah. So it started out early in Galatians. Who's bewitched you? You started in grace. Now you're back in law. They got back in law pretty quick. Started building new synagogues, new priesthood. Let's just do all the old stuff again. That'll
Temples
work.
everywhere.
Temples everywhere.
You go on Sunday, you go worship God in the temple.
Yeah, and to talk about, to even go some places and go, you're a Christ being, you're a new creature, you'd be lucky to get away with that. And that's just like the basics.
Yes, the basics.
Yeah, you know that you're not from here, that you're from above, you're a spirit being.
And it's easy to if people are worried, I'm like, look, it starts out small and it grows. You start out as a baby and you grow. And eventually, when that spirit comes right through in growth and you're walking with the Lord, your whole soul as well. That the soul part, like your mind and your heart, and then the old Adamic nature is like poof, gone away, because the soul part, when that victory has happened, and that is also in alignment with the Christ being, that's what they call the Son of Man glory. That's the glory, the soul saving. So it's not, you've got like this, all this precious godly spirit, but all this soulish earthly man factor. But they eventually will be on the same part of the same creature.
Going to redeem it.
Same purity.
Yeah. So
But you have to fight for it.
it's coming up from the depths. It's coming up out of. And it's like, this is the right time. It's been 3 days. This is the beginnings of the resurrection, the revelation, the knowledge, the teaching of all these things. We didn't hear any of this stuff, when we first started. No. We didn't hear it until like 20 odd years ago. Really started to hear it clearly. And it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But the thing is, well, how do I know whether I'm on the living out of the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Well, you can tell pretty quick. Or am I living in grace and truth? And like, introduce the word innocence. How often do you come to the Lord and you feel innocent and clean and not judged? And if it says that he's come to clear our conscience, you see, you can do all the rules and regulations, they'll never clear your conscience. He's going to clear our conscience. And all the things we bang on about, one of the things we bang on about a lot is image, because you do what you are, and you really have to start to believe the good report about, we'll get back to your one, the good report about yourself. So the other day, I'm here, I do some things good in my day, I do some things bad in my day. Sometimes I set things I want to do and I don't do them, sometimes I do. And you think, oh, well, I've done good today or I've done bad today. And some days you hardly ever live up to your expectations of what a good day should look like. And I'm going, I'm not sure how good I did today. And I'm really hard on myself, It's ungodly. And then I said, Lord, what do you think? He says, you're my beautiful son. And I start weeping. His report is not my report. Yeah. We've got to get our report to be his report. And then out of that, we start to live. Because it says if you have him, you have life. That tree, all you do is get judgment. All you do is get a sense of lack. It'll never be enough. So, yeah.
Yeah, because, that's the dove. The spirit comes as a dove. That's what's going to save you. Like John the Baptist didn't get it, because in the Old Testament, often when the Spirit of God came upon people, they either prophesied, which he did, or there was this massive battle.
Yeah.
And it was lots of violence and fighting. Yeah. But we have a fight, but it's with the dove. We don't fight. I mean, not against the dove, but it's like you fight the fact that you're beloved, and you're a son or daughter of God, and the dove is for you, and that's what you have, and you've got to believe that and grow in it.
Yeah, this tree of knowledge of good and evil, which has put us in a pit, it's as ugly as.
It's mean.
It's mean. It's ugly, and it's worldwide. It's been there for centuries. It's ugly as, and the Lord says it's going to come down. In Revelation, Babylon has fallen, religious confusion's fallen. And we're going, wow. But the Lord said this thing's coming down, because why it's coming down is because something's coming up. Something better's coming up. Something better's being resurrected. And you think about it, like you guys watching on the video. God said, I'm going to do such a work that I'm going to restore your innocence. You're not even going to be aware of right and wrong. That's
powerful.
I remember someone, I think Kelly Varnes said salvation means up, out and away from the prison house. And the rights and wrongs is a prison house, fighting for your rights, fighting for all this stuff. To get to a place where you come before the Lord, open-faced, innocent. I mean, at rest with the Lord, at one with the Lord. How good is that? Not coming because of what you've done good. We still, as illuminated as we are, be honest, how often do we come judging ourselves good or bad? We prayed, we didn't pray, we read, we didn't read. you know, and we have all these things on us, and I bet you all the measures I use on myself are not the ones the Lord's using. And, you know, we talked today about how we go about doing things. The way I prep for doing things is I don't really prep. I just wander along, and in the morning or in the evening or sometime, the Lord just whisper an idea and a concept, and I go and write it down. I go, really, Lord, I'd really like to be a theologian and just go and systematically study everything. And he goes, well, just get over it. I'm just going to tell you stuff.
Made you that way.
That's why I made you. I'll just tell you stuff. Go and do your little word study, check it out, and then just tell them what I told you.
I'm going study.
I wouldn't be a theologian.
Okay, Daddy.
Because it turns out, I said to Hannah, I know smarter people than me that, you know, do systematic theology, but it turns out if you hear from the Lord, he's the best theologian that there is.
You should be like, you know that cartoon, you should be like, okay, super dad.
Yeah, okay, super dad. Because I found out over a number of years, everything he says is really theological. Yeah. It's really accurate. Sometimes not in my book, but it's in his book. And it's like, I mean, like, we got to start to get his weights and measures. Forget everybody else. Best place to apply this to, the good report, start with yourself. Mm-hmm. That'd be so good. Get off that freaking tree of wrong and right, good and bad. I've done good, I've done bad. Get off that tree and just get into and then climb down out of it and go, Lord, what's your report? And then just start to go with that. And
learn of him.
Yeah.
He will teach you so many things.
He's a lot less grumpy with us than we think he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like
you see all that, go through all that, a little bit of experience of that, and he goes, are you done? You think you were keen on that one? No, I'm not keen on that. You know what? It's good.
You know, like the John the Baptist thing. We'd have liked to have done it. I remember when I got saved, I was a rat bag before I was saved. People think but I'm not. I'm lovely. And like, I'd never done anything. Everything I did was like minimum effort. And I get saved, and I thought, right, now I'm saved. I'm going to Bible school. I'm going to be like super student. I'm going to study so hard. I'm going to be because I finally found my passion. I'm going to be the best student. Whoa. So we go to the lectures, then we go out, and my mate, Jimmy Bush, you go, you want to throw the Frisbee for a while? I go, yeah. So when anybody else is studying, I wanted to be a good student. And it turns out, after a year, I thought, I was terrible Bible college student, but I learnt the Lord through it. I didn't learn the Lord in the traditional way. I learnt him through.
He's always trying to make you non-religious, and you fought it a little bit, didn't you?
I fought hard. Yes. I wanted to be a good man.
You did.
I wanted to be a good man.
I have so many memories of you at Bible college.
I wanted to be a good man doing a good thing.
Came from the other angle.
I was in the middle of the tree. I was a bit of good, bit bad. I was a bit good and a bit bad.
Yeah, a little bit.
But, you know, it's taken me a long time to come to terms with it. You know, you got to be happy in your own skin. You got to love who you are, and you got to get off that tree because that hurts you, that hurts everybody around you.
We're peculiar people.
It slows it down so much.
Well, how much does it slow it down? Your mum's word, you know, the prophetic in her terrifies me because the reality is a bad report. Forget it. Forget sonship. Forget your promises. Forget your prophetic purpose. It's not going to happen. Mm. And if you can't get a good report about yourself, good luck for your neighbour. Hey, ain't going to happen, is it? Ain't going to happen.
Yeah, well, good luck in this promised land too.
Because
don't speak the right report there.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're not even going to get there.
And that pit, the Pharisees and Sadducees, I mean, they're law keepers. They watch you like a hawk. Oh, you didn't wash your hands. You didn't eat. What are you doing? I mean, like, good luck.
It keeps happening.
Yeah.
That spirit's still...
Well, the enemy's found it to be a useful tactic. It's worked. Why would he change it? Why would he change it? So anyway, we've got to get a good report about ourselves. We don't live on the tree of right and wrong. People that we deal with, we don't deal with them with right and wrong. We deal with them by grace. Same way we deal with ourselves. The other scripture I read this week, this guy owes the Lord a whole lot of stuff, owes the Lord of the vineyard a whole lot of stuff, and he goes, I forgive you debt. Then the guy goes out and persecutes someone that owes him a little bit. And the Lord goes, you're an evil servant. I mean, we do that. Yeah. Crazy. So we've got to give ourselves a break, give everybody else a break. And then I believe there's going to be such a work of grace. We're going to climb up out of the pit by climbing down out of that tree. Because you stay in that tree, you're never getting out of that pit.
And you're never going to go to him. You're never going to go and share with him in their house.
Well, you're not worthy.
You won't go near him. You'll hide from him.
You'll hide behind leaders.
Yeah.
You want, we were talking about that today, you know, like, one of the issues with the whole setup and the religious setup is, which is not what Jesus set up, is you're supposed to have your own relationship with God, and a lot of people are hiding behind their leaders, and their leader has a relationship with God. But if that leader has a faux pas or goes down, then suddenly like they separate them mad with God because they didn't have their own relationship with God that was through that man. Doesn't go well.
Doesn't go well.
No.
Hallelujah.
But for a while, people feel all right because it was like, you know, religion has this fake feel good, like you're doing the right thing kind of vibe.
Yep.
And you can do a lot of hiding.
Come across it.
Yes. And then Jesus is like, what? That's not what I brought you.
When good people get mean.
Yeah.
What did one of our mentors say? Religious people, they're mean. Because on the tree, in the pit. You know, if you were mean, you say you brood of vipers. But, you know, why pick on them? You can pick on yourself. You know, why adjust everybody else? Just yourself. I'm interested in that innocence thing, clear conscience. How good would that be?
It's a lovely word, isn't it?
If you could bottle a clear conscience, innocence, and you could market that, I think people would buy it. Mental turmoil, stress, distress, anxiety, and just, you know, they were innocent in the garden and they fell. They fell from a place of innocence. They didn't deal with all the rights and wrongs and issues. There was no lawyers. You know, it was just, you know, some sort of utopia.
His first thing was, who told you you're naked?
Who told you? Who told you that you were, you know, sin consciousness entered in?
Yeah.
And it's a stain. So anyway, when I said I hadn't fully developed it, the Lord said to me, I did not know until this afternoon that Zacchaeus meant pure or innocent.
That's lovely.
He's coming down out of the tree because God's going to meet in this house. That's where we're going. How's it work? I have no idea, really. But God's going to do that. He's going to restore us to that. I'm interested in that personally. I don't want to run around living off some stupid tree that kills me. Hey.
Yeah, stop eating those thoughts.
Stop eating that stuff.
Yeah.
You do it. You stop it.
Stop that.
You stop it.
You too.
Oh, yeah. All right, anything else, Bob?
No.
Hannah?
Let me have a... No.
What were those three pictures about?
It's a picture of water, spirit, fire. No, it was just, I was doodling because I was going to try a blank page.
That's how she does it. I had a nap.
Thank you for coming, Hannah.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you. No, thank you.
Thank you for
no,
coming.
thank you. You realise you're innocent. You're
I
a
am.
house,
I don't come any innocent.
a habitation of purity by the Spirit. He wouldn't live somewhere that wasn't pure. Hallelujah. Damn devil. He's a liar. Hey, going to expose them all. Blood's enough. Hey, habitation of purity. Ooh, I mean, like, to undo the lies, it's centuries of it. But it's all going to happen. It's like going to the land. How are we going to get in the land? We're going to undo all these lies. God said we're going to do it. We're all going to come down. All this nonsense is going to change. You know? And like, at the moment, the common denominator of Christians all over the world is, I'm a sinner. That is the devil's lie. Because he knows that they're not. Because it said that which is born of God cannot sin. Your nature is not actually a sinful nature. The Adamic one was, but your new creation, man is not a sinner by nature. It's the biggest lie on the planet. It needs to be unravelled. You know? You just go and tell them they're not sinners. They will argue with you. They'll throw scriptures at you. They'll get fired up. I tell you, we are sinners. All right.
How's it going for you?
Yeah, enjoy it. All right. We won't do a blue steel tonight.
I won't.
You won't. No blue steel. So, Deb, everybody needs to get a good report about themselves and about God's dealings. And then they'll inherit.
Just agreement.
Just agreement.
Agreement with them.
Yeah.
And yes.
And what?
Be on a war footing.
Yes, war footing.
Someone's fighting us and he's fighting harder than we are. Indeed. We've got to change all that. Come on. All right. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank me for coming.
Okay.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you out there in Goo land. Thank you. And that was 3 at 1.